What's going on, guys? Welcome to the next part 2 of the Facebook JSON parsing, getting some data. What we're going to do is actually set up our image view and create a bitmap out of a URL that we're going to use. Don't know if that made sense. Sorry, I drank like 5 energy drinks, so my brain is really aware of how tired I am right now. So not completely there, but let's just jump into the tutorial. We got our welcome.setText, and we are saying welcome to the user or the name. Again, we parse that data from our JSON parser and had the input of a name there. So the reason that we needed this ID that I was mentioning that Facebook uses, every person has their unique ID, is we're going to refer to a graph URL. So what we're going to do is we're going to create an image, again the image view URL. So we're going to say image URL is equal to a new URL. Within here we're going to refer to the Facebook graph, which basically allows us to get a lot of information about the user, such as their profile picture is what we're getting. So we're going to say graphfacebook.com / and then we're going to put plus ID and then another plus, and what we're going to refer to as the pictures. So we're going to say / pictures here, and this is where we get access to the specific person using our application's pictures. And that's why we need this ID up here, because basically this is the URL link to get all the pictures from that individual. And what we're going to do is we're just going to refer to the pictures and put a question mark, and we're going to say equals, or I'm sorry, type equals, and we have like large, we can do normal, or I think small. I'm not for sure what the other one is. I think it's small. I'm going to try that out. And that will return the profile picture of the person using our application. Again, this is just a URL, so we have to parse this URL into or decode the URL into an actual bitmap. So let's create a new bitmap right here. We're going to just call this BP or BMP, something like that. And we're going to set this equal to bitmap factory dot decode stream, and we're going to refer to our image URL, and we're going to say open connection dot get input stream. And then lastly, after that all works out, we're just going to set our picture image view that we have set up, set the image bitmap to be our BMP. Alright, so let's test this out, then I'll explain everything that we did more thoroughly and elaborate on some other stuff that you can do pretty simply with a code like this. So let's run this bad boy. And there is going to be some, this isn't the best way to program it right now, but we're just getting some information. Looks like we logged in, and yeah, it looks like that small reference that we set up here works as well, but you can also do normal and then large as well to get different sizes of the picture. And it says welcome Travis Cornelius, and then my picture. So exactly what we wanted. So now let's kind of talk about what we've actually done and what we can do. So basically when we update our button images, what we're going to refer to is setting up a JSON object and a URL that we're actually going to decode and get the bitmap from. We just set these up to null, obviously. Don't really need to explain that. And then what we're doing is we're doing a string. We're referring to a string of the Facebook requesting for the user me, which basically is code for the person using our application. We set up a JSON object, and it's going to parse that specific string that we get back from Facebook. And then we have access. Let me jump over to my browser here. This is just an example from labs.adobe.com, but this is kind of how the JSON works. It'll return a string to us, something like this, and it gives these identifiers like an ID, and then it tells us the value. It could give us an identifier of type, and then it returns another value, which is a string, donut here, name, cake, a bunch of information that we can get back. This is what we're relating to here within our JSON object. So what we can do from there, once we get this string back, we can parse some of this information and just look, for example, for like a name, which we do here. We set up a string reference, we refer to this JSON object, and we get the string value from the IDs. So we know that Facebook has a reference of ID. Again, this is just an example that has an ID as well, so I just chose this. But it will look through that information that we get back and look for an ID value or a key. And then we also have a value to that key that's going to return to us. So it's going to return 0001, and that's what this string reference will be now, ID. Same with the name. It's going to look through that. Our JSON is going to parse some data again for us, looking for name, and it's going to return cake. So Facebook has a bunch of stuff set up like this that's easily accessible once we refer to the user of me. So what we've done is we've referred to the ID and the name. The name obviously will return your name, and the ID is more for we can access some graph information down here, like in our URL. We access the graph information here, and then we're referring to the picture, the small picture of our profile picture. So that's what that's doing. Then we're just parsing the data here, or decoding the stream. So we refer to the URL, open the connection, get the input stream. That's what we're trying to decode to return us a bitmap. And then we just set that bitmap to here. So now I hope I've kind of talked through that enough. I know if you guys haven't parsed a lot of data before, it's kind of confusing getting into it. I know you probably are already curious and you want to try some other stuff out besides just the ID and the name. So I'm going to jump over back to the browser, and you guys can go to the developers.facebook.com/docs/references/API/user. And this is the graph API. That's kind of what we're getting the information from. So you have all these other things you can test out yourself. So we have an ID that we can look for. That's what we've done so far. It returns a string value for us. A name, also a string value. You can get the first name, you can get the middle name, the last name. Again, all returning string values. What languages they speak or whatever. This will return an array of different languages. So you'd have to set up an array object called languages, and then object dot opt string languages there. But I mean, you can do a lot of stuff already. You already know a lot of things with Facebook that you can pull the information from. Get their bio, their birthday, currency, devices, education, email, everything pretty much. Again, the email will have to have permission. Again, that permission that we set up within, let's see here, within this authorize, we had to authorize permission to get the email. So as you can see here, this is the section that says permissions. So we'd have to include these string permissions for some of these, such as the email that I just mentioned. Tinker around with it, make sure you add the permissions to get access to this variable, and then you can parse that with JSON and get some information back. So that's kind of how it works. It's pretty awesome. And I know some of you guys might be giving me comments like, this isn't the best way to do this, and I know that. I just want to get a little bit of information out there before we create like the best Facebook app ever. But this should suffice for now, and thanks again for watching, guys. Hopefully everything made sense. Let me know if it didn't, but we'll catch you guys later.